Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Straight Up with MS and all its crazy little circles here on MS&Me Radio, brought to you by the MS Global Support Network. I'm your host, Patty Long, and I'm MSing it for life, and you can find me on Twitter. I am mostly there still. I've missed a few days lately. Today I've missed because, well, my phone fell up underneath the bed and I couldn't reach it, and trying to figure out how in the world to get this phone out from underneath there when it was right smack in the center. Oh my God. So I just left it alone and didn't have my phone until just a few minutes ago, and I haven't bothered responding to a soul. So I'm sorry, y'all, but I wanted to do my show before the wind really kicked up again. But again, I'm Patty Long. You can find me at MSing It for Life on Twitter, and I spell that MSENIT, the number 4, LIFE. And you know, last week I was telling you I got this idiot husband. I don't know. I don't have a really good word for him that I'm allowed to say on the radio. That's awful. Honestly. That is bad. But I have a lot of decisions to make. And I'm not real good at making decisions. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I was like, you know, I know that, you know, I'm living in a situation that's full of stress, and that stress is bad for us. I also know that while living in this stress, I am dealing with it as it comes up in good, healthy ways for the most part. Every now and then I overdo it on my exercises, but not so often, you know, just every now and then. And, you know, I had that big reminder not to do that this past winter. So, you know, I'm handling it. So is it better to stick around and just know what's going to happen before it happens and know there's nothing I can do about it? No way I can change it? Or is it better to go ahead and make that phone call, make that appointment, and start a divorce? And honestly, I don't know what to do. And I think I know what I want to do or what I should do, but yet then I still can't do it. And I don't know what the holdup there is. I mean, I think it's just that I am such a poor decision maker that I am kind of afraid, maybe, if you could call it that. Not really afraid, but concerned, definitely concerned over making this decision and making the right one, because as much stress as I might have now, you know, those months of stress of going through a divorce is probably going to be a whole lot worse, you know? And I'm like, can I deal with that kind of stress? You know, is that going to come like this does in spurts that I can predict, or is it going to just come out of the blue and wham bam and, knock me for a loop for 6 months. I don't know what to expect on any of that, because he's made it clear that he's not going to be a willing participant. And if he's not a willing participant and not willing to even discuss anything about it and just completely refuses to leave, then that's going to be a lot of stress. And it's not just a stressful decision like this that I have a hard time deciding about. You can ask me if I'm hungry, and I'll be sitting there going, I don't know. I guess not. And I may not have eaten all day. I should be able to say I'm hungry and know that I'm hungry. But decisions, even the simple basic ones, are just so hard, and I've actually come a long way. So now I'm doing better with the "Are you hungry?" question and the "Are you thirsty?" question. And but there's so many other things that are still really difficult. If you plop me down in a restaurant with a menu that's got a ton of choices, it's gonna be a nightmare for me trying to pick something to eat. So usually what I do, y'all, and I got made fun of this when I was over in the UK, but it was playful, and I I took it that way, and I love this girl Sarah that I met there. She's awesomely, amazingly brilliant, and really an adventurous spirit like I am. She was a hiker, climber, all of the things that I used to do for adventure. She's done them too. So that was just really, really great meeting her. But she was picking at me because when we went to eat, I ordered off of what they call over there the starters menu. Hot. No, sorry guys. But I ordered off the starters menu. And for us here, that would be the appetizers on the first page. And this is what I do. I open it up, this big giant menu, and I order something off the first page. And the first page is definitely all I need to order off of. The appetizers these days can be 100% meals if you look at them. If you just order cheese sticks, maybe not, but they usually have something that is more along the lines of what I would call a meal. And so that's what I would do for the longest time. And now I can look at those appetizers and even turn the page. Or look for the section that says chicken. Or look for a section that says steak. And find that part of this big giant menu. And this is such an improvement for me that, it's night and day difference. So it's not just the big things, it's also the little tiny things that have been very troublesome. And part of that is confidence, I'm sure, in whether or not I'm making the right decision. Am I choosing wisely? Should I really have chicken or should I have fish? Because I've got baked fish. And I eat low fat, so I don't eat fried. And most places around here only have fried fish or fried this and that. But, it goes beyond that somehow. and I'm not sure quite how. But I am playing games for it. And I this was why I had to dig out my phone before recording, because I wanted to give you the names of some of these games that I play. I have an iPhone, but I think that the apps are there whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone. But I've always played Frozen Mania. I actually started out with Candy Crush. And it helps you choose between doing A, B, C, or whatever. Sometimes you don't have that many choices, but sometimes you have lots of choices, and depending on your choice, you either win or lose the level, right? So I started out with Candy Crush, and then I moved from that to Frozen Mania. Now, I tried 2 dots at that same time, and I was so confused by 2 dots that I didn't know which way was up. And all you had to do was draw a square. But I couldn't seem to figure out how to make a square. Yeah, my cognitive skills were pretty dumpy back then. I mean, I definitely couldn't have done this show because I could not have carried on a conversation and remembered what I was talking about from 1 second to the next. So, yeah, I started with Candy Crush, moved to Frozen Mania, but left 2 dots in the background because it was super hard. And then I found one called Dots and Company like a year later. And it's kind of like 2 dots, but a lot easier. So I started playing Frozen Mania and 2 dots. Now I still had zero memory, it seems, because I couldn't even remember the word I was looking for in the word search that I've got. And I don't think which one really matters on a word search. I just have a very simple word search by random logic. And I think that's all it's called, is word search. But I couldn't remember the word I was hunting for while I was hunting for it. I would forget it. So I put that one on the back burner too. So I stuck with Frozen Mania and Dots and Company. And then I played with decks of cards, because you remember the old game Concentration from back before computers and technology, and we did everything with our phones or our laptops or our pads or tablets or whatever it was that we had, or we have now. We used a deck of cards, and you'd lay out all the cards and try and find all the matches. Well, 52 cards was way too many, and I knew that. So I'd search through the deck to make the matches, with the cards facing up and pulling them out when I would find them and get all excited because I found a match. I found a match. I found a match. Yay! And I'm sitting here looking at the pieces, and I mean, this is kind of like how my granddaughter did, when she was 2. Maybe older than 2, but when she was 2.5, before she was 3. Because by the time she was 3, she could outmatch me playing the matching game. And, I still don't have a huge memory, but it's way better than it used to be. But I played with this deck of cards, and I would put 6 cards down. So I only had 3 matches to find and to try and remember. And that still got frustrating at times. You would think that would be easy enough, but no, it would still get frustrating. And then I did a lot of the physical stuff, trying to, it's more coordination, I guess, kinds of things. Because I would be sitting on the ground and I would try to build things out of little teeny tiny rocks. and just stack my rocks up and build stuff. Or I'd try and pick up all the little sticks that I could reach and pull towards me and make a fire out of the little pile, and the fire would burn. I'd spend hours doing this and the fire would burn maybe 2 minutes. It wasn't like I was gathering a whole lot of stuff as I tried to rake it into a pile with my hands that were nearly knotted up into fists. So, I've come a long ways, both physically and cognitively. And the cognitive parts, I really think building things helps you to connect your cognitive skills. I think it helps you to grow your cognitive skills. And, I've heard all these terms about your reserve. You've got functional reserve and cognitive reserve and, dang, now I can't think of all the different ones, but you've got all these reserves. And I kind of think they're about the same. But, and they umbrella under like your whole neurological reserve functions, because it's all neurological stuff, whether it's physical or whether it's cognitive for us. So, I played these games, and I played with the deck of cards. And my brain kind of grew up a little bit. And then I thought, I'm going to try 2 dots again. And I understood it better. And I could play it. I still got really frustrated and I didn't get very far. But I could play it. And I was winning and beating levels, even if they were the easier levels. And I did the little challenge thingies, because a lot of times they gave you instructions to go with them, or you got to see some cool something or other that you didn't get to see because you weren't high enough in the levels yet. And so they were fun to play, and they didn't even waste all your men because you had extra men for those. So I played that part of the game, and still played my Frozen Mania and my Dotson Company. Well, Dotson Company finally has become really easy. And Frozen Mania has become really a pain in the butt, because they've added all these ads in between everything. And on top of that, I've gotten so high up in the levels that I have to update the software for it. And I don't want to update the app because it's all blingy, and the blingy is going to mess with my eyes. So I'm just going to delete that one now. But it was a great one for me to start with. And Candy Crush being the original one I started with. And then I got to a point where I wasn't winning, and set it down for a little while, like a week or two. And when I opened it back up, it had passed me. This little fairy came out and passed me on to the next level. Well, that's not the way I want to win. And when I play these games, you get all these little extra goodies from time to time. And I never used those little extra goodies to beat a level, because doing so means that the goodie is beating it and not my brain figuring out this amazing puzzle game. So, like I'm currently down to 2 dots and the word search game. Now, in the word search game, I've made a lot of progress too. I started and I couldn't even remember what word I was looking for. And because of the way this particular word search game is set up, and you have categories that you can choose from, I choose, say, the animals category. So I've got animals in my head. Not that I'm going to know them all, but I have that in my head. So I'm finding words without even looking at the list a lot of the times. And my vocabulary is improving. My ability to recall words, even though they're not animals that I'm talking about, just my overall ability to recall words, and it is better. It's gotten a lot better. And yeah, that's Hachi barking in the background. But he's going to settle down, right, boy? Yeah. So, that word search has really helped me with my memory. And that having that memory that started with these word search kinds of things, even though it started with the deck of cards and trying to find 3 matches and 6 cards, and how many times does it take me to find all the matches, How many times do I need to flip that same 2 of spades over before I find the 2 of hearts? I mean, really. And that's how it got frustrating, because there weren't but 6 cards. So, it's a process, and it's not an easy process. It's a long process, but it's a doable thing. And the more you do it, the more of this cognitive reserve that I hear about gets used. But the more it grows as well, because as you're getting better, your cognitive reserve becomes better. And so now, playing this word search game and finding the animals or the states or whatever category I pick, finding those words without even looking, which is helping my word recognition. And then looking at the bottom and then seeing that one that, I haven't found aardvark. So I look up at the grid, and there it is. And it's right there. It pops out at me. And now when I go places, this is what's so amazing, because I would go to the same restaurant, and I used to tease that having no memory meant that I get to go to the same brand new restaurant 20 times, 50 times, I don't know, for a long time before I remember being there, ever having been there before. And now I remember stuff. I remember everything. Well, maybe not everything, but I remember so much that it seems like everything after having zero memory. I go out to pool, and I'm constantly being introduced to new people. And while I'm not to the point that I'm remembering everybody's names the first time I meet them, I'm remembering their faces. I'm remembering having met them before. And that is a humongo improvement. And the people that I'm actually around more, or in that particular same evening that I've never met before, but I'm around them more that evening, those people, I can remember their names. So my new team captain, I remember his name is Josh. I remember that we have a guy named Danny on the team. I remember we have a guy named Mark on the team, and I remember that Richard's on the team. But I already knew Richard, so that one doesn't count. But that's the 4 of us that have come to pool so far. We need 5. Oops. At least I saved the league. I went and showed up. But these things really do help. Now, after I started getting some memory and still playing these games and doing better on 2 dots, which I'm now way on up there on 2 dots. I'm quite proud of myself now because, like I said, I sat on this for I don't know, 3, 4 years and didn't play it at all. And now I'm on level like 410. Yeah, 410. I've actually completed them. And like I said, I don't use the little, zap all of one colors or make this bomb go off or whatever, because that's like cheating myself out of figuring out how the puzzle works to beat it. So I'm not helping myself if I do that. I've also found that my Bop It game that I had originally gotten for the kids when they were maybe 10, but my Bop It game, where it'll tell you pull, twist, or bop, and then you either pull the little thing on one side, twist it on the other, or bop it on top, and it gets faster and faster. And that has really helped me with my attention and my focus. And it's amazing how these games help. Puzzles. Now, puzzles I stayed away from because for the longest time, that wasn't going to do nothing but piss me off, because I should be able to do a puzzle and it should be not a big deal. But puzzles were too hard, trying to figure out which direction the piece went into. And I'm not talking about adult puzzles, y'all. I'm talking about puzzles meant for little bitty babies, little kids that have very few pieces. Very few pieces, and they're giant pieces at that. I could not figure out those to put them together. And again, my grandkids were great at them, but I couldn't do them by myself. They could, but I couldn't. And I could get embarrassed by this, but no, I just know that it's a struggle. But now I can do those puzzles, and I can play the puzzle games on my phone. I just can't get carried away with the number of pieces that I'm using, and I have to blow them up big so I can see them. And of course, my time is up. But if decision making is difficult for you, I definitely suggest you try games. Games that require you to make decisions. And there's lots of them out there. So before I'm really way over, let me say bye, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. I love you to pieces. I'll let you know what I decide on when I decide it. And until next time, smile big, smile often, and most importantly, love yourself, your whole self, including all your messed up parts that nobody else seems to get. Well, some people do. But I love y'all. Enjoy your week. Bye.